Yeah. Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are joining us this moment. It is Mayegun Live. Thank you so much for joining me from wherever you are joining us from this moment. Please read the caption of the broadcast, the description of the broadcast, like it. Then share the broadcast to invite your friends and their not so friendly friends and tell them that Mayegun today. Thank you so much. Tinubu's government, they have announced a new tranche of $2.25 billion loan. Thank you. I apologize for the late start and for not coming on this morning as well. So I'm kind of like stuck in between so much right now, but I'm glad to be back here this evening so we can put all of that together at once. Yesterday, the Minister of Finance, as well as the Minister for Economy, Nigeria Economy, Wale Edun, made an announcement. But before that, World Bank, on their own Twitter handle, they announced the approval of a new $2.2 billion loan. But this loan is not attached to any particular project. The loan is given to Tinubu so as to help. This is what they had to say. I'll read that to you soon. To help boost the Nigeria economy. So far, so good. World Bank, IMF, African Development Bank, Afrexim Bank, the combination of all these banks or lenders, they have given over $7 billion loan to Tinubu in the last 1 year. In the last 1 year, Nigeria debt has increased by official over 20 trillion naira. Unofficial, the current debt of Nigeria is now over 160 trillion naira debt. Yeah, you heard me right. That's over $100 billion debt. But like Bokuwari, they are printed over $50 billion. And up till this moment, people talk about the money, but nobody can point at what it was actually used for. No one. Same with Tinubu. Except for them bragging of sharing rice. Okay? Oh, we gave food to the poor. What exactly can you say they have used over 30 trillion naira debt for? And that's just the debt too. That's not part of the revenue end and spent too. Or, yeah, So the World Bank, the last time the IMF gave them the condition as part of the planned $4.5 billion that will be given to Tinubu this year. So part of their condition was to go and further the value your naira, let it float. And that in itself is contributory to the economic ruin that is pervading Nigeria as we speak. At the point they told them they had to go and increase your taxes. Nigeria is not the only country. Kenya, Ghana, and a few other countries were given these conditions to go back to their countries if they want to access a certain amount of, for Nigeria, part of the loan packaged for Tinubu in that 4.5 billion is $750 million, which is to be given to them as long as they can they can increase the telecommunication tax. And that is the tax they said they wanted to impose, and people kind of resisted. I don't know if they've started taking it already. It's so crazy that when you look at this, and then you see the same guys telling Nigerians that there is a future for them. But there is none. There is none. So they have already led you in a way that the hyperinflation, the unemployment, the economic downturn that you are experiencing, the high cost of living, is going to get worse. And they are going to tell you to, or they are going to keep telling you to take them or hold them, or hold their words, rather, hold their words in value. So here is the problem. The World Bank that is releasing 2.2 billion, according to Wale Edun, I'll read this out. He said, okay, I'll read it exactly as it appears. Okay, said the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, announced today the approval of two major financial support packages by the World Bank. This is part of President Tinubu's ongoing effort to stabilize the economy and provide urgent support to the poor and vulnerable. $2.2 billion. The approved operations, this is what the money is meant for. The approved operations include $1.5 billion for the Nigeria reforms for economic stabilization to enable transformation, and it's called Reset. They will spend 1.5 billion on that. Okay, so that is Nigeria reforms for economic stabilization and to enable transformation. 1.5 billion. Some of you who followed the looting of Kaduna done by El Rufaya, they borrowed $350 million, and they used the money they pay consultants on how to help the Kaduna state government improve their revenue generation. So they now have committees set up to help them find how. So they borrowed $350 million and they paid them to help the Kaduna state government on how to increase their revenue generation. Now for Tinubu, they don't put together the big words, and it's formed something, Reset. Then they will now bamboozle you with, there will be investment in power generation, increase in power generation, the 1.5 billion borrowed money. Okay, so for Nigeria reforms, for economic stabilization to enable transformation. Then the second one is development policy Financing Program, DPF, and $750 million for the Nigeria Accelerating Resource Mobilization Reforms, HAMO. 750 million is going to be spent on putting together the idea, okay, policy. Yeah, they said it's called Nigeria Accelerating Resource Mobilization Reforms, ARMOR, Program for Results, P4. $750 million. You see all these things they coin together. Okay, let me continue first. So they said this combined total of 2.25 billion will offer essential financial and technical support as the government continues to address economic distortion. Additionally, it will assist Nigeria in its long-term goal of increasing non-oil revenues and securing oil revenues to ensure fiscal sustainability and the delivery of quality public services. Do you understand those big grammar? I'll help you. What they are practically saying is that the money they are borrowing or they just got from the World Bank will now be used by those Tinubu appointed as ministers, as this and that, to advise him on economy. So they now need 2.2 billion, okay, to put together a team that will then advise the government on policies to put together to improve non-oil revenue. Does that also sound similar to the Kaduna robbery? Or you are still not following? Like, you know, we do ask, what do they use the money they borrow? What do they use the money for, Abi? Now, this is this criminal boldly telling Nigerians that they want to borrow 2.2 billion so that they can improve on policy, financial coordinating policy that will then help Tinubu to improve non-oil revenues. Guess what is non-oil revenue to these guys? Taxes. They brag about how much money they are able to take from, they're able to squeeze from people. No investor, no investments, no nothing, just borrowed money and taxes. So they will spend 2.2 billion, okay, to put together, formulate, coordinating financial policy for Tinubu so that they can improve how much money they generate. Here is another part. They said, now the big words continues. Economic stabilization and growth. Upon assuming office, the federal government was confronted with significant economic challenges, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so initial critical steps have been taken to restore microeconomic stability, boost revenues, and create the conditions necessary to reignite growth and reduce poverty. Alaye, they said they have put together initial policies for microeconomic growth. Is Nigeria the microeconomic growing? Is it? Okay. He also said that to reignite growth, okay, then to reduce poverty. Be honest. Has poverty reduced or increased in Nigeria in the last 1 year? Be honest. No? Okay, you be the judge. This is the guy who are like telling themselves, you know, how great they are doing to justify this 2.2 billion that Nigeria will pay back. unborn generations are going to be born into poverty, paying back debt. Just remember that. Now, they said these ongoing measures are part of a broader strategy to increase revenues. It's about increasing revenues. It's not about creating jobs. It's not about, investing in that same microeconomy, right? Where they improve electricity generation and distribution, where they improve security, okay? But they keep kind of saying this to themselves in their echo chamber, right? Okay? So they said this broader strategy is to increase revenue, create jobs, and foster sustainable economic growth. However, I continued. He said, Mr. Wale Idun has welcomed the support of the World Bank and emphasized the necessity for the reforms. According to Wale, we have undertaken bold and necessary reforms to restore macroeconomic stability and put Nigeria on a path to sustainable and inclusive economic growth. Jargons. These reforms will create quality jobs, really, and economic opportunities for all Nigerians. 62,000 naira job. That's something, right? So then they said World Bank endorsement. World Bank endorsed us. Said Osman Diagana, that's the president of World Bank, okay? The vice president of the World Bank, okay? He said, Nigeria's comprehensive microfiscal reforms are placing the country on a new path that can stabilize the economy and lift people out of poverty. This is what the World Bank is like. The Tinubu's policy is World Bank policy. World Bank policy is Tinubu's policy. And World Bank policy is the policy that impoverish the people. They give them loan. They don't really care how they spend the loan. But the country will then be subjected to the perpetual repayment from generation to generation. And that is why, right? Today, the debt of Nigeria, if it is to be paid off, straight up now, every one of us carrying that green passport, some of you will have to probably bin it now, right? So every one of you carrying that green passport, or those of you who don't get passport at all, identified as Nigerian, you are practically like a commodity in the hand of the lenders. Because if they divide the debt of Nigeria now, that all of us should pay, including our children, individually, it is now over 800,000 naira per person. 157 trillion naira debt, local and foreign. Do you understand that now? So, and this is going to be paid for up until 2000, year 2000. No, sorry. That's I wanted to say year 2100. That's wrong. Year 2100. You know, we are now in year 2024. Dear future Nigerians, if Nigeria is still existing, okay? We are doing our best to make sure that you will not meet these debts. And we hope that we achieve this before we die. If you see this video in 100 years' time, when I am long gone, please, for the sake of those who can't make all these videos, right? I'm speaking for them. We are doing our best. This is year 2024. Yeah, let's say it to the future. Because you see, many of the unborn generation right now, they're going to burn them into poverty as long as Nigeria exists. Debt repayment for 100 years. How many of these criminals collecting the loan will be alive in 100 years? How many? They say they are stealing money so that their unborn generation will never suffer. Dear future generation, if you see this video and Nigeria is still existing, that means we failed. But that doesn't mean that we didn't try. We are doing our best to make sure that you will not be born into this contraption called Nigeria. We will do our best and we'll keep pushing. That by the time you are born, not only that you won't meet these debts, you won't be part of this contraption or country called Nigeria anymore. But if by any means, 100 years time, Some of you come across this video as Nigerians. Just remember that in year 2024, like many years preceding it, there was a Mayegun, this face, that was pushing and trying to warn the Nigerians who are existing now that the criminals in charge of this contraption, they are mortgaging our future. Many of us were born into the poverty, the indebtedness. Many of us are going to die in that poverty without actually experiencing life. And then the unborn generation who didn't beg us to born them. Oh. So many of you right now, they call and love. You are producing, you are procreating. These children, you are borning them. They are Nigerians. You see all this stigma, all this wahala, they are going to inherit them. We inherit Nigeria from our own parents, didn't we? Our children would have to. And you see all this debt, all this poverty, all this terrorism, all this horrible, bad leadership. If we don't end them by ending Nigeria, our children will be born into debt repayment. And these guys, their bones will be like, would have turned to powder by then. They will not be here. And I think that's more reason why they don't care. And you, who is a young person, who doesn't have understanding what this simply means, the reason why you are facing hardship in Nigeria is because of decisions like this. See, listen, there's nothing bad in taking loans, but use the loan. Use the loan, at least for the people you took the loan in their names. You understand? But they are not doing that. They want to own the world. They want to control everything. They want to own everything. While generations after generation are being being subjected to this generational, poverty. I will say I said mine. In Kenya, there is a drama that took place. Currently, I think I said something about Kenya the last time, which was about their president, Ruto, and his economic policies, including taxes, after collecting World Bank and IMF loan as well. So if you are watching me from Kenya, you probably will think nobody is facing what you are facing economically. But I think I said that yesterday, that whatever the Kenyans are facing or still going to face, is going to be the phase one of what Nigerians have been subjected to in the last 9 years of APC, government of lies, manipulation, propaganda, and at the same time, the government that doesn't want you to express yourself against all of these vices. So in Kenya, they themselves have started putting together bills, laws that will further, squeeze businesses, citizens of more money, more taxes. But the people are not really seeing the impact or the effects of all this World Bank money in their country. And that is why so many people are kind of like becoming resistant. So one of them is a Kenyan human rights, a Kenyan activist. And you see, there's something that makes this look pretty much like what an activist should do. Those who are singing soli, 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 they should do more than just singing soli, soli, soli. Because if you are an activist, right, there are some level of actions that should be added to your activism. Something that makes the oppressor sort of afraid of you. And it is okay if they are afraid of you. It is not okay. You see, they say this all the time. When the leaders, when they are afraid of the people, that is democracy. But when the people are afraid of their leaders, that is tyranny. That is not democracy. I know that that's not what Nigeria is practicing, so to say, right? That's not what is happening in Africa. But you see this guy, his name is Julius Kamau. Julius Kamau couldn't take it anymore. During the time they were presenting their budgeting and all of that stuff, discussing because they write budgets based on what they expect to take from the people, the revenue, taxes, and all that. So these guys were like discussing that in the government building, right? Then, from nowhere, Kamau just showed up, decided to grab that briefcase where the destiny of Kenyans is about to be mortgaged. And this is his own way of activism, to say, instead of just complaining, right? I'll show you. Yep. After arresting the guy, he tried to almost